amazing children who are survivors, or should I say warriors, of attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Sylvia, thank you so much for taking time to be with us this morning. Perhaps we can begin, and even for allowing us into your homes. If you could paint for us an image of why you're so passionate about this.
I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are special needs.
Yes.
One has autism spectrum disorder, and the other one has ADHD, as you've said, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Yes.
So already this is a complex situation for them in terms of how they relate with the society and our environment. And with these current situations for them, they cannot comprehend or get to understand what exactly is going on. And if you look at how it's being explained, it's not something that is making sense to them.
Right.
In terms of, we're doing a lot of text, there is no imaging. So like yesterday, the day before yesterday, because they're used to routine.
Yes.
Autistic kids are used to routine. The same way we wake up, we do this, we go to school, on this day we go to church. So they're not understanding within this short time why they're back at home.
So
they will work. Sorry?
Sylvia, have you had to explain that to them? What did that conversation with your 2 sons look like? Having to explain to them why mommy has to take them off schedule?
First, it was like, we need to go out, because for me, I started it immediately after school. They didn't go outside. So it's been a very long time, because even over the holidays, we go out, we visit, but this time around, it's different. So when they woke up saying it's Thursday, we're supposed to be going for swimming, because they have their own internal clocks of counting that I've never gotten to understand even myself. So I had to tell them we can't go for swimming. So they're like, let's go for a walk. I'm like, oh, going for a walk is also difficult because it's not safe out there. They're not understanding what you mean. It's not safe. So you have to try explain you're going to get sick if you get in contact with people. Right now, we need to stay in the house. Then they're like, okay, let's go to the car. And you're like, okay. So what I've had to do is like either take a drive, but then they don't leave the car. So they also now giving us a meltdown. A meltdown is when they are frustrated and they cannot express themselves. Most people call it tantrums. But for special children, it's actually a meltdown. When the environment is complex or the situation has changed, their routine is broken. And in more severe cases, you will find that when these routines are changed, when they're not mentally prepared, for those who have the comorbid of having convulsions, we will find our children now getting unwell.
Right.
And of course, now taking them to hospital now is a different story altogether.
So on a day-to-day, take me through what a day-to-day looks like, especially when it comes to doing homework with them or learning at this point in time with COVID-19.
Well, like I said, they're used to routine. So like one of my kids understands homework,
yes,
but then the other one is used to the compartmentalization in that when it's time for school, it's school. When I'm at home, it's at home. So he doesn't like mixing the two. Unless we are learning electronically through play, that is when he will be accommodative. So as much as the school gave me homework to give him, which is now coloring to enhance their fine motor skills,
yes,
I've had to now come up with other ways of doing different homework because he can't do more than 2 minutes. And you can imagine now in this case, I have 2. They have different learning styles. And looking at, for special needs children, they follow something called an individualized education plan. So I'm also trying to think of that parent who, because not all schools follow it as much as it's supposed to.
Yes.
Not all special schools follow the same. So how will a parent also pick up? If you just look outside now, outside my own scope, I'm trying to imagine the parent who does not have learning aids like electronics. And we're looking at the government putting in place, like for neurotypical children. Neurotypical means like what we call normal. They have put all these other resources, but then they don't learn that way. We have to teach them the way they learn.
Right. Sylvia, what are some of these tricks you've had to sort of come up with in the past few days? You've said you've had to come up with a few measures to sort of make sure learning is more effective for them, for both of your sons.
All right. So like when I'm giving, let's say, Andrew work to do like the coloring, I ensure now Bradley is doing things to deal with fine motor. This is whereby you find they do things like needling, like you pass a thread through I don't know how to explain them. They have like I said, they have very different ways of learning, because this now teaches them concentration. If I tell them pick color red, take for me the squares, take for me the rectangles, that is how they learn. So in that, as much as it looks like play to anyone else, for them it's learning the colors and the shapes at the same time. Then after a few minutes minutes, I swap them. So this one takes gadget, but then you'll find like the brother will lose concentration because he's getting attracted to like now the sound. He also wants the gadget. We only have one gadget in this case. So you'll find that for me, having two of them has been very stressful. And I can't say that I am a teacher. As much as I'm a champion, I understand what needs to get done. It's also a bit challenging trying to follow and contain them. And now with these changes in environment, you'll find their focus also is not as good because their concentration levels are very different. You find that a child with ADHD, mine has attention deficit and also the hyperactivity. I've also tried to take them to the rooftop to just ensure that we don't have a lot of interaction with other children, because at this case with hyperactivity, the baby will be touching everyone, talking to this, touching these surfaces. Because even when I had taken him to the doctor, that was the first thing that the doctor said just when this started. He was like, he has to be on total lockdown. But you can imagine trying to put a hyper child in lockdown, which is very difficult, and not everyone can access space. So I had Daktari earlier talking about not taking kids to the rural areas. But you see, for us, this being enclosed is more frustrating. Yes. Like for us as caregivers, I will not lie, like it's very, very stressful. You're trying to balance. We can't go to work. Our income is also affected. And here you are trying to ground yourself, trying to ground your children who don't even understand what is going on. Right. If we could have a different way of teaching them, like what this COVID is, why can't we go out? It's a very, very difficult situation Sylvia, trying to explain.
Sylvia, as someone who champions for the voices of special needs children and a parent of two here in Nairobi, do you believe, or what would you want to see the education ministry here in Kenya do? What would you want to see CS Magoha do, especially right now with COVID-19 having impacted the school calendar as it has? What do you want?
I would love to see them actually consider, apart from the neurotypical children, also the other children, our special needs kids. Yes, there is the visual and all this access online. What about the parent who does not have that gadget? As they're doing radio, let them do TV, because our kids learn through seeing. A lot of them, it's more of the visual. So we'd like to see a special section, as they're saying, at this time it's class this and this. What about our children? Because if you look at it, they've not been considered. No one is talking about how special needs children are learning. If there is a way we can be able to be given now, like the learning aids, puzzles, we're talking about custom-made items to enhance their fine motor skills. Because remember, we are not having access to therapy right now when we have shutdown, because our children need occupational therapy to help them be able to work on their fine motor skills, the activities of daily learning. So these are things that, as a parent, not all of us understand how to do it. Like we're not talking about ADL, that is activities of daily learning, while other children are learning ABCD. Our children are taught this is how you dress up, this is how you zip, this is how you button. And you can understand not every parent has that time and that space to do that. So if we could have such things being put out for parents to be able to access, that would be great. Then the other thing is the struggle we are having, because with special needs, you cannot separate education and health. We have medical appointments. How do we go about that? They're very key appointments that we cannot afford to miss. We have medications that we use every day. Can the government be able to make such things accessible? In one of the platforms, we have a shortage of one of the medication called Levothyroxine, which is what contains the convulsions and manages it for especially cerebral palsy children. For them, the immunity is very low. So right now, there is a lot of fear in our community of special needs parents, because a small exposure, you can imagine, you cannot quarantine a special needs child. So that means the parent has to be there. That is double tragedy. Do you understand?
Sylvia,
so there is a lot of magnitude in case any of our kids get affected with it.
I'm afraid our time is up, but perhaps could you now talk to fellow parents? Talk to fellow parents who have special need kids at such a time. Talk to them.
My heart goes out to all the fellow special parents, because it is a very trying time for us in terms of patience, in terms of trying to keep it together, and you cannot go out, you cannot say I'll walk away, because normally at least you can have a small break. Let's just support each other, call out, let's have our conversation. If you're feeling frustrated, you can reach out on our online platforms, on the different WhatsApp groups that we have, and let's stick together. And I would also urge those people around us. Right now, our kids are being frustrated. You'll hear a lot of noise, you'll hear a lot of crying. Please don't be judgmental, because that's one of the things that is just adding salt to injury. Understand understand our children are not like your children, that you'll be able to tell them sit still. So as for us parents, as we're trying to get through this with all of you, please be accommodative and be understanding in what it is that we are going through as parents. So we stick together and let's hope that this will be over very soon.
Right, asante sana. Sylvia, thank you so much for allowing us into your home and allowing us into to give us a glimpse into your life. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so that is Sylvia Mochabo. She is the CEO and founder of, let me just get that in just a little bit. She was there speaking to us about special needs children and how they are being affected by COVID-19 during this specific lockdown. She is the founder of Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons Africa. She has 2 kids with special needs, and as you've heard, her advice for other parents, and of course, going to the village may not be the last resort, even from the doctor, as you've heard earlier. All right, we need to close off the show, but before we do that, Kenya has now 25 confirmed cases. I want to show you a timeline that we have kept here at Citizen TV, just a reminder of how we've gotten to where it is that we are. So on March, this was on Friday 13th when Kenya recorded their first coronavirus. This was a Kenyan lady returning from US via London when we saw that. Then on March 15th, when President Uhuru made his this announcement that 2 new cases had been confirmed, only for 2 days later, March, this is 17th on a Tuesday, another case was confirmed, a traveler from London. The following day, Wednesday, March the 18th, 3 new cases were confirmed, this being 1 Burundian and a couple from Spain. We jump all the way to March the 22nd, which was on a Sunday. 8 new cases confirmed on top of what we had already mentioned. 5 Kenyans, 2 French, 1 Mexican. Monday 23rd, this is the day before yesterday. 1 case confirmed, patient, a close contact of one of the 8 cases reported all the way back on March 22nd. And of course, March 24th, which was yesterday, Tuesday, 9 new cases confirmed, 7 Kenyans, 2 foreigners, bringing the total number of COVID cases in Kenya to 25. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the conversation we wanted to have this morning, how COVID-19 has affected the education, the school calendar. You've heard from a doctor, you heard from a family IT consultant on the digital side of learning. More so, you've heard from a parent who deals with 2 special needs children. Really hope that this show has inspired you. We want to take a break. When we come back at 9 a.m., Trevor Mbija will be giving us a top of the hour update. So for now, let's take that break. Do a bit of cartoons for the children, and then of course bring you up to speed at 9 a.m. God bless you.